So today we're going to look at long division of algebra. If you remember from primary school, when we were dividing something like 200 by the number 4, we used to write it like this. And so we knew that 4 didn't go into 2, but 4 went into 20 5 times. And then we would look and we would say 4 goes into 0 0 times. For long division of algebra, we're going to use a very similar logic. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to write out the quadratic expression that we have here, like so. So we're going to write it as a line like this: 6x squared plus 11x plus 3, and we're going to divide that by 3x plus 1. So we're going to refer to this as the divisor, and this is what we're dividing into. We're going to start with quadratic expressions first, and then we're going to move on to cubic expressions. So what we see here, step 1, you look at the first term of the divisor. So this is the first term here, 3x. And you ask yourself, what would you multiply by 3x to get 6x squared? So I know that if I want to get 6x squared, I multiply 2x by 3x to get 6x squared. Step 2 will then take the answer I get from step 1, which was 2x, and I'm going to multiply it by this divisor, 3x plus 1. You might want to do this as a little bit of rough work out to one side. So I'm going to do it like so: 2x multiplied by 3x plus 1. And I know that that will give me 2x by 3x is 6x squared. And 2x by plus 1 gives me plus 2x. Step 3, I'm going to write the answer that I get from step 2 beneath the first two terms. So I have 6x squared plus 2x. I'm going to draw a line underneath, and then I'm going to change my signs. So this sign here becomes a negative, and as we can see, this is a positive sign, so I'm just going to change that to a negative as well. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my terms here and see what I can or subtract those terms. So I see that 6x squared minus 6x squared, well, that's going to cancel, give me 0. And then I have 11x minus 2x, which will give me 9x. Step 4, I'm going to bring down the next term, so that's plus 3, and I'm going to repeat the whole thing again. So I'm going to look at 3x and ask, what would I multiply by 3x to get 9x? Well, I know that that's going to be plus 3. Then I'm going to go ahead and just out to one side here, I'm going to multiply 3 times 3x plus 1. That's going to give me 9x plus 3. And I'm going to write that in underneath here. My next step, change my signs. So I get a minus here, and here I'm going to get a minus as well. And as we can see, the answer here will give me 0. 9x minus 9x is 0, plus 3 minus 3 is 0. So I can see now that my answer is 2x plus 3. So I'm just going to go through a few examples of questions. So I have 5x squared plus 17x plus 6, and I'm going to divide that by x plus 3. Okay, so again I start off with my very first term, which is x, and I ask myself, what would I multiply by x to get 5x squared? So I know that I would multiply 5x by x to get 5x squared. Out to one side here, I'm just going to do my multiplication. So I'm going to multiply that 5x by the whole of this divisor, x plus 3. X plus 3. 5x by x is 5x squared. 5x by plus 3 is plus 15x. I'm going to put that underneath here, 5x squared plus 15x. Line underneath, change my signs. So that's changed, and I'm going to change this to a minus. I can see here that these two will cancel because 5x squared minus 5x squared is 0. And then I have a plus 17x minus 15x, that's going to give me 2x. And I'm going to carry down my next term, plus 6. I start the whole process again. So what would I multiply by x? That would give me 2x. Well, I know that's plus 2. Do my little multiplication now here. 2 times x plus 3, which is the divisor. 2 by x is 2x. 2 by plus 3 is plus 6. So I get 2x plus 6, line underneath. You can change your signs now, or going forward you're going to be able to just see that the moment you change your signs you get 0. So you can just write 0 underneath. And this is my answer, 5x plus 2. In your notes on Schoology, I've included more examples of these, so you can have a look at those and try to work through the workings. Let's try now a cubic function, or cubic expression. So we have 2x cubed minus 7x squared plus 5x minus 1. And that's going to be divided by 2x minus 1. So a little bit different this time, but all we're going to do is repeat the steps. So again, I'm just going to start off with highlighting my first term here in my divisor. And I'm going to ask myself, what would I multiply by 2x to give me 2x cubed? I know that the answer is x squared. So again, out to the left hand side here, I'm going to multiply 2x squared times the divisor 2x minus 1. X squared by 2x is 2x cubed. X squared by minus 1 is x squared. So I'm going to take that now and put it underneath here. 2x cubed minus 1x squared. And I'm going to write that as 1x squared just to get used to the coefficients. Draw my line underneath, change my signs. This will become a plus now. And so what I'll have is 2x cubed minus 2x cubed will cancel. And then I have minus 7x squared plus 1x squared will give me minus 6x squared. Bring down my next term. Don't bring down all the terms, just the next one. Okay, so I repeat the process all over again. So I'm going to look at 2x and ask myself, what would I multiply by 2x to get minus 6x squared? Let's first start with the coefficient. What would I multiply by 2 to get minus 6? Well, I know that would be minus 3. And x, what would I multiply by x to get x squared? Well, that's just going to be x. Okay, so I'm going to multiply that term now. 3 minus 3x times my divisor, which is 2x minus 1. Minus 3x by 2x will give me minus 6x squared. Minus 3x by minus 1 will give me plus 3x. Take that, put it underneath here, minus 6x squared plus 3x. Line underneath, change your signs. This becomes a plus. This becomes a minus. And then I get minus 6x squared plus 6x squared. They cancel. And then I have plus 5x minus 3x. That's going to give me a 2x. Bring down my minus 1. And then what I can see here is, what would I multiply by 2x to give me 2x? Well, I know that that's just going to be plus 1. So now I need to look and see that plus 1 times all of this is going to give me 2x minus 1. As I know, when I change those signs, I'm going to get 0. And one more example then of a cubic expression. So 3x cubed plus 4x squared minus 13x plus 6, and we're going to divide that by 3x minus 2. Okay, so I'm going to take my first expression, 3x, my first term, and I'm going to ask, what would I multiply by 3x to get 3x cubed? This one's easy, I can see that that's going to be x squared. Take it out to one side, x squared times my divisor, 3x minus 2. That's going to give me 3x cubed minus 2x squared. Write that underneath, 3x cubed minus 2x squared. Draw your line underneath, change your signs. This becomes plus. These cancel, as we can see, and what I see is 4x squared plus 2x squared gives me 6x squared. Bring down my next term, minus 13x. Start the process all over again. What do I multiply by 3x to get 6x squared? Well, I know it's definitely going to be plus 2, and then it's going to be an x, because x times x gives me x squared. That's going to give me 6x squared. Sorry, we can multiply it out to one side. Get used to doing that. So 2x, 3x minus 2. 2x by 3x gives me 6x squared. 2x by minus 2 gives me minus 4x. I'm going to put the minus 4x in here. Line underneath, change your signs. So I have 6x squared minus 6x squared, cancel. And then I have minus 13x plus 4x, and that's going to give me minus 9x. Bring down my final term. For my last part, again, I'm going to repeat this process. So I have a 3x here. I want to know what I would multiply by 3x to get minus 9x. Let's start with coefficients first. So I would multiply minus 3 by 3x to get, by 3 to get minus 9. And then obviously minus 3 by 3x gives me minus 9x. I can multiply this out here. Minus 3 times minus 2 gives me plus 6. You can multiply that out down here if you wish, okay? And then what I can see is once I change my signs, that'll give me 0.